today. She's had several exhibitions nationally and internationally.
hear
She
any
was
sound.
born in Seoul, Korea. And we are super happy to have her now with us at KU to talk about the Memory Tag Project. So with that, Sun Young,
Hello.
take it away.
Okay, hi everyone. Well, I usually talk to in front of the, people who has an art background. So this is very like unusual, like the situations to me, but I'm excited to share this special projects that my student and I work on this past spring. By the way, thank you so much for having me here. So after these presentations, I love to hear your feedbacks or ideas for how we might expand or improve these projects in the future. So can I share?
Yes, you should be able to share your screen now.
Okay. Can you guys see it?
Looks great.
Okay. So I'm going to talk about this project called Memory Tag Projects. And this was a part of the curriculums I teach in one of the class. And I'm going to show you the whole process, what we did for the whole semester. Before diving into these projects, I want to briefly introduce my own artist practice because it is actually connected directly to the course and why I create this assignment for my students. So Kelly talked about the honeybees and honeycombs, and I moved to Kansas about 15 years ago, and I actually make my first bee for like a 10-year anniversary. I moved to Kansas, and I found out that bee is a Kansas insect. Do you guys know that?
I did not know that. That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
So anyway, so I primarily make small scale jewelry that blends the traditional metalsmith with digital fabrication method. Things like 3D printings, laser cuttings, metal casting, and enameling. And these are the techniques I use not only in my studio, but also in my teaching. Alongside the jewelry making, I'm also interested in interactive installations that invite community participations. For example, one of my exhibition, Wearable Play, featured the simple toys like puzzles and blocks that people could play with in the gallery or public space. And it was shown in both Seoul, Korea, and Kansas City, Missouri. And I was surprised and also delighted that not only young people, but also senior citizens spend hours and playing and engage with these pieces. And last year, I did a special project with the students too. I collaborated with a nonprofit organization called Ethical Metalsmith, whose mission is to promote ethical jewelry making through educations, community buildings, and action. So one of their big initiative is the Radical Jewelry Makeover, which repurpose the donated jewelry into new meaningful pieces. My student worked on that project last semester, collecting donations and transforming them and exhibiting their finished work. It was such a rewarding experience, both creatively and socially. So the idea for this memory tag projects started after I watched the documentary about the Japan's aging populations. So in Japan, I'm from South Korea. We also have some aging issues too. In Japan, large percentage of the aging population has led to 1 in 5 people experiencing dementia. So they've been experimenting with creative way to help prevent people from getting lost, like using QR code stickers placed on the fingernail or tracking devices instead of shoes. So I began to wonder, do these devices actually work? And more importantly, is there something artists can contribute, especially jewelry artists like me? And since we create objects that are meant to be worn on the body, could we design something both functional and meaningful? And at the same time, I realized that I don't have all the answer, especially when it comes to working directly with the seniors community. And I know I need a collaborator with experience in that area. So instead of doing a large-scale research project right away, I decided to start with something small, a pilot programs project that my student and I could explore together during the spring semester. I applied for the research-intensive mini course grant through the Center for Undergrad Research and Fellowship at KU, and I received $500 to help purchase the material for the project. This project is the Memory Tech projects. This is an initiative that integrate community-based research with a creative practice in the CAD/CAM curriculum at KU. So if you guys are not familiar with the CAD/CAM, it's a computer-aided design and computer-aided manufacturing system. And I'm actually teaching those technology at KU. This course has primarily focusing on the developing technical skill, which made adding the community component very challenging and ultimately prevent it from actually happening. So however, by incorporating community and creative project into CAD/CAM program, I want to enhance both educational experience and social impact of the course. Student design personalized name tag or memory tag pendants for older adult, encouraging students to connect their technical skill with the social contributions. My intention for this project is not only foster the sense of belonging, but also challenge the students to think beyond individual skill development, highlighting the importance of collaborations and community engagement. The next step was to promote the project through KU News and the student newspaper. And I also shared this on the social media to reach the broad audience. Unfortunately, I was unable to connect with the local newspaper. So here's a schedule timeline for our projects. This was a 5-week project, and the schedule was very tight. The student had to come up with their own designs, use the computer programs to create the 3D models, produce the prototypes using 3D printers or CNC machine, and then cast them in metal. It was really real challenge to complete all of it in such a short time. So before the project began, students watched the 2 documentaries, one from PBS, another from 60 Minutes. Both programs focus on the dementia and Alzheimer. Some students were deeply moved by what they saw. Even though this project was meant for the all older adult, not just those with memory loss, I felt like it was important to provide the background context to students. At the end of February, my students visited the Lawrence Art Center to meet and talk with the members of communities. We were fortunate to partner with the Lawrence Art Center, which allow us to use their space for community design consultation. But due to their regular programming, we could only offer 4-hour window for those meetings. Although there are only 2 people came to the event, they each commissions 2 pendants for the spouse and for sibling, both of whom are experiencing the health issues. In addition, several students spoke with their own grandparents and designed the personalized pendants for them. Each student began by filling out the design concept sheet to develop the initial ideas before they move into the CAD program. And since this is an introductory CAD class, many students only had the basic computer skill. So the design process took a long time. Still, they did an incredible job transforming stories and ideas from the senior citizens into thoughtful and well-crafted digital design. So you can see from the sketches to the computer design, and I'm gonna show you the next step. So if you do not know about the metalsmithing and jewelry program at KU, we are one of the top jewelry program in, nationally. And KU metalsmithing and jewelry has a small technology lab that located right next to our main studio classroom. This setup make it easier for the student who to move back and forth between the designing on the computer and then working hands-on. In our technology lab, we have a CNC milling machine, which on the first image, they carved a wax model for casting, as well as several 3D printers on the right image that actually make a castable jewelry model so we can actually use for the jewelry casting. So once students finish their digital design, they either mill those design in the wax using the CNC machines or print them using the 3D printer. Just forgive me if I'm actually talking this, technology word. I can explain to you if you have a question about it after the presentation. So let me show you the milling machine in action so you can actually hear the little bit of noise. So once student finish the designing on the computer, we actually upload the design onto the machines. And we put the block of wax and the machine carve those design. And I'm gonna stop the video. So after machine carve those wax, the second image show it's a finish the piece. It's not clean. The student need to clean a little bit more. But you can see one of the wax model has a name and phone number and his health conditions, and there's extra phone number to contact. There are different design for from the each patrons. And after finish the wax models, students use a sterling silver cast this wax model. Oops. Okay, here's the students, Jackson's and Grace, polishing their finished pendants. They each created the one-of-a-kind pieces with a great care and attention to detail and with a smile. And here are some examples of final pendants and pins. Some of them have designs on both sides, which you cannot see here, unfortunately, but they are really beautifully done. Cheyenne and David spent extra time sanding, polishing their pieces. Some were from the patrons who ordered them at the Lawrence Art Center, and others were made for their own grandparents. So for the final phase of these projects, each student participated in creating the large poster for the undergrad research symposium. They spent 2 full days in group discussions, gathering images and research to visually represent the process and outcome of this community-based project. I need to tell you that this was an unusual project for our majors. Normally, our students focusing on the individual projects where students develop their own concept and ideas. So group work like this was a new experience for many of them. And I know it was not easy, but my students were very patient, flexible, and did an amazing job working together. And I'm gonna show you the posters one of the posters they created. So here's one of the posters they made. I divide the class into 2 groups of 5 or 6 students. Each group collected their research and documented the project process to tell the full stories of what they did. For many, this was their first time to creating the research poster. And I was so impressed by this outcome. The Center for the Undergrad Research at KU hosts both online and in-person presentations to celebrate the Undergrad Research Week in April. So some of my students chose to present their work at the symposium, sharing their experience and the final of their works with the peers and faculty from across the campus. We were the only group representing the visual art for this event, and I was incredibly proud to see them present their work so confidently. One of the patrons even came to the event to see the poster in person. They were able to meet the students who created their memory texts and have conversations about the process with the students. It was such a great experience for everyone involved in this project. Memory Tech project was valuable and meaningful interdisciplinary practice that taught the visual art students how to connect with the older adult community through the creative practice. It combined the technical learning with the empathy, collaborations, and real-world applications. And I truly hope that I can continue this project in the future for the new groups of students and for my own art practice too. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. That is such beautiful work, and I'm biased, I think, but what a wonderful way to share your artistry and meet a need for people who might need to have some identification or a talisman or just something to represent what's important to them. I'll invite everyone to ask questions if you like. You can use the chat and or you're welcome to unmute yourself if you have questions for our presenter. And I will start us off, give you all time to think of your questions, but I have one that I've been dying to ask since I knew we were going to have this topic. So I'm going to take advantage of the opportunity to ask. I was so interested in seeing how the pieces went from the idea at the very beginning to the machinery. And I'm wondering how much, trying to figure out how I ask this, how much of the design really needs to come from someone with artistic talent and how much of the design is a machine?
Well, that's good questions. So the machine is just a tool.
Okay.
So it's like, we have a lot of tools in our department, like aside from the hammer, like a wrench, or there is a vise, and we use all kind of the tools. And this technology we using for 3D printings and, CNC, actually CNC is now becomes old tools. It's a discontinue. So it's not technically technology anymore. to me. But just the ideas artist has is more important than the tools. And I always talk to my students that if their original design is not good quality, the machine cannot actually execute into the good quality. It's not automatic tool. It's not the AI. The
Okay.
auto machine we use requires the manpower. So I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, that
Um,
does sound like a good thing. Yeah.
yeah.
So I guess my follow-up question to that is, let's say I, who am not in any way a talented artist, at least not in terms of drawing, I mean at all. Um, but if I wanted to design something,
Mhm.
and then put it in a machine, would that be possible? Or do I really just need to leave it to the real artist to make a design?
Well, I know there is a programs you can make a 2D drawing into three-dimensional forms and then you can actually 3D print it. But it's ideally, I want to say it's better to, to make it by the artist.
Yes.
Um, because I teach the class, I need to say it.
Right, of course, of course.
Right.
So all of that is in service to say I'm so impressed by your talent and your students' talent. I think they have done such a lovely job. And I wonder if you would tell us, I was so excited to hear you say you want to continue the project beyond now, beyond this semester. So does that mean this might be an opportunity for other people to participate?
Well, so could be the questions from me to all of you. Like, I spent like a whole semester to do these projects, and it was really hard. First of all, we need the funding because I want it to be free for everyone who need
Yeah.
that. But it's very difficult, to find the funding.
Mhm.
And the second of all, when we went to the Lawrence Art Center, I didn't think too much that maybe the family member, the caregiver, they don't have time to come to the Lawrence Art Center, or they don't have that informations, or there is somebody who need it, but they don't have accessibility to actually come down to that place. So I talk to my students that we need to find a way that not waiting for you guys come. Maybe we can come to the place. And instead of spending the whole time to do this, maybe we can simplify the process and then offer like, some like a medical tags or name tag for somebody who need it. So that could be my questions. What's gonna be the better way to actually reach out to you? um, share our expertise with you.
Wonderful. Well, I'm glad we were able to help spread the word. And I think lots of us will be interested in hearing about your
Mhm.
continued work, Sun Young. It's very exciting, and I will ditto what my colleague Lindsay said in the chat about your jewelry being functional and um, visually pleasing. I mean, there might be some resistance for some people to wear something that says, I need help or I have the diagnosis, but if it's a beautiful flower or a honeybee, then why not? So thanks for doing that. We have another question in the chat about commission pieces and what would be the estimated cost if you did a commissioned piece?
So that's I don't do the commissions, but my student can do. It depending on the material. Like we use a sterling silver, and we charge $95 in addition to the material,
Okay.
because since we use the venue of the Lawrence Art Center. Um, and they have a little bit of a financial difficulty right now. So I like to provide them some, like, something for them. So all the benefit actually went to the Lawrence Art Center, basically. But to answer your questions, my student can do it. And then I cannot tell you how much that costs. It's just you guys need to talk to each other.
Okay.
Um, But most of my students can do this. At least the 11 students I have in my class, they have expertise right now.
Wonderful.
Mhm.
Okay, well, I know that we have at least one person interested. I'll make that two.
Okay,
Can we share your contact information for next steps?
yes, you
Okay.
can.
All right, well, I will do that. If anybody wants to have the contact information for Sun Young Chong and her students, feel free to send an email to My Alliance at kumc.edu, and we'll make sure that we get you in touch. Are there any of the pieces on display at the Lawrence Arts Center?
No,
No,
we only there for getting, doing the design consultation.
just for doing the consultation.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think there are at least a couple of examples on the article that I put the link to in the chat, the article that was in the Kansan newspaper. So everybody, you can feel free to click on that link to read.
I can send you the images of the student work. I have a few images, so
I
you
love
can,
it. Yes.
yeah.
Okay, I'll take those and then we'll be happy to share those maybe through my alliance and get folks in touch. So thank you. We are almost at time. Sun Young, thank you so much for sharing your beautiful work and for teaching us the fun fact of the honeybee being the state insect of Kansas. Maybe everybody knew that but me, but I did not know. And when it's on Jeopardy or something sometime, I will know because I heard it from you.
Okay,
So
well,
thank
thank you
you
so
very
much
much.
for inviting me. It was really great to talk to you all and show my students' work.
Thank you so much, everyone. And before you all depart to go enjoy the warm summer weather, I will tell you that we'll be back next week on July 3rd for another edition of the weekly webinar. We're back again until I don't think we have another break until Thanksgiving. So lots of good stuff coming to you. Next week's speaker for the weekly webinar, I feel like I should have a drum roll, will actually be me. I am going to be the speaker next week. And I am going to bring to you a fun topic. The topic is stories that remind and remember. I've had the pleasure of reading a couple of fiction books about dementia this summer. And I'm going to share some of my findings with you, share some interesting things that I've learned from reading a couple of novels about dementia this summer. So I hope you'll join me next Thursday. You'll see more information in the next My Alliance newsletter about that topic. And we'll have a link to today's recording in there so that you can see this again and or share with other folks. All right, everyone, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll look for your you sharing the images, Sun Young, of the art that you have. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.